Hi, welcome to the Online Business AMA podcast. I'm super excited to have our guest today, Ruth Poundwhite, join us. She is a sales extraordinaire. I followed her for a very long time, and I'm very excited to have her join us today. So, welcome, Ruth.
Hi, thank you so much for that lovely intro.
Oh, you're welcome. Why don't you go ahead and tell those of us who maybe aren't familiar about you a little bit more about you and your business and what you do?
So I call myself a business and self-belief coach now, and I specifically help people to run their businesses and sell in alignment with their energy, their values, and personality. And the reason that I do that is because I had my own business for a lot. Like I started my first business in 2008, long time ago, and I worked as a copywriter. And I was not selling and running my business in alignment with my energy and my values or my personality. And I just had no idea back then. And it was a long and winding journey that led me to now helping other people with it.
No, I love that. And that's, I think, part of the reason I followed you for such a long time because I try to do the same with my business. I try to help people, that's why I call it soul empowered because I want people to run a business that, fuels their soul and empowers them and is more aligned with who they are. Because for a very long time, I did not do that. And I was very, very, very unhappy. So, yeah, I love it. So, right now, I know you have a bit of an email experiment going on, and I'm really excited to kind of hear all about that. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that and why you're doing it?
So I don't know when this episode is going out, but the time of recording, we're right at the end of October. And I think it was last month, September, I was thinking about, okay, how can I really ramp things up for Q4? I really want to end the year strong. And my version of ending the year strong, by the way, is not like hustle, 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 but it's like, how can I stick to my goals, make things happen, but do it in a way that suits me and supports my energy with where I am. I'm going away at the end of the year, so it just feels like a really good goal for me. And I was looking back on last year because I actually had an amazing Q4 last year, and it didn't feel like I did any like I do summits and stuff like that. I didn't do anything huge like that in Q4. But I did sell a lot of different things, and I was looking back and seeing what I did. And the number one thing, well, no, maybe not the only thing, but definitely one of the top things that I did last year was I decided to send emails every day for a whole month. Now, I'm not doing it exactly, I haven't committed specifically to doing it that way this year, but I'm definitely taking that lesson from last year, and I can go into the details of why I decided to do it and what it taught me, because it actually taught me so much. And I'm applying that this year, not like I said, not committing to every single day, but really giving myself permission to send more emails and have more opportunities to sell, basically.
No, I love that. I know people sometimes go back and forth with email and think it can be annoying. I look at it as like just unsubscribe.
Yeah.
And to me, I kind of prefer it because I really want the people on there that are going to be engaged and active and want to hear from me. Can you talk a little bit more about why you decided to do it and how you kind of overcame? Because I'm sure you thought the same thing, like, oh my God, I'm going to email every day and everyone's going to unsubscribe and I'm going to have no one left on my email list.
Yes. Yeah. And this is such a common feeling that loads of my clients have as well. So let me just give you a bit of context. In my first business as a copywriter, I did not do anything that involved showing my face. I was terrified. That was the reason. But I did start an email list a couple of years into that business. And like I said, this was a while ago. So I probably started my first email list in 2010 or something like that. So I do have experience with email marketing and it being the kind of hub of the way that I connect with my people and sell to my people. So I've known for a long time that email is my thing. It definitely is the thing I feel most natural doing. I have done social media as well and other forms of growing my audience and nurturing my audience. And there's still a lot of other things I do, but everything always comes back to email for me. Like I love it. It suits my energy, suits my skills and my strengths and all of that. So last year I had just run my Soulful Sales Summit in September, and for my summit, I really wanted to get back on social media, share my summit. When you got a big event like this, it makes sense strategically to be sharing it on social. And I just could not. I did share some on social, but I could not get the enthusiasm to properly kickstart my social accounts, and that had existed for years, right? But had been like, I'd had really like wavering energy with it, like really on and off posting. And after the summit was over, I again had this question like, oh, should I put more effort into my social media? Should I be posting more on Instagram? The thing that I experience when I go on Instagram is a lot of comparison, distraction, and all of that stuff was making it less fun for me over the years. And I thought, what if I just decide to stop posting on Instagram? So I hadn't actually been posting much, but it wasn't a conscious decision. So I think there's something really powerful about making it a conscious decision, deciding not to. And then I had fear come in, like, oh, but what if I need to? What if I'm not reaching people? What if? And I thought, what could I do differently to kind of make up for that and help me mitigate whatever risk my brain is telling me that there is? And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to email every day for a month. And I set myself a challenge to email daily. And when you talked about these fears about email being annoying and like overdoing it, getting more unsubscribes, that stuff is definitely there. But I can tell you, when you make a decision that you're going to commit for a month, it suddenly, I don't need to think about that anymore because I've already decided. I've already made that commitment. So I don't need to worry. Oh, if I send one extra email this week, is it going to really annoy people? Am I going to get more? I just don't need to worry anymore because I've already decided. So actually, there's something very freeing about deciding it and seeing it as an experiment. And when you look at things as an experiment, you know that you're going to learn from it. You don't know what you're going to learn from it, but you know that you will benefit from what it is that you learn. So I think I answered your question. Let me know if I didn't.
No, you did. You did. I think that's great. And I think you're right when you say, like, when you just kind of decide and make a decision. I know for myself, I don't know, it could be the ADHD, but in the past, just not even with my business, but just in general, as soon as you just decide, it's like your whole being just makes this shift. I know, like, for myself several years ago, so, I mean, this was 12 years ago now, I think. I was working a very dead-end job. I was very unhappy. My sisters were both like, you need to do something. This is not it. My other sister was living in Chicago, and I just was like, you know what, I'll just move to Chicago. And I had zero plan. Like, I didn't really have any savings. I had no job lined up. I just knew that I could stay with her for a few months. But as soon as I did that, just everything kind of fell into place, and I got a job within like a week of being there. So I think you're right. It's just like stuff just kind of shifts, and it just, falls into place. Do you feel that when you did start doing that you noticed a change in terms of unsubscribes and then also in terms of more sales?
Before I answer that question, I just want to say, like, your decision was so huge, right? Such a huge life change. And it kind of puts into perspective that my decision to email every day really wasn't as scary as my brain was telling me.
No, that's not why I brought it up.
But
I
know
like
that.
the first thing that happened to pop into my head in terms of me just deciding to do something.
I totally get it. But I thought it was an interesting thing to point out to people listening. Like trying an experiment in your business, it can feel a lot scarier than it really is. And it can feel like it has many more consequences than it really does. And speaking to the consequences of it happening, of what happened when I did it, I did not notice a correlation with unsubscribes. Maybe there was, but it was nothing like big that I could tell. I'm not someone who tracks it like totally like specifically anyway. So if I was, maybe I would have seen a trend, but it's certainly nothing that I noticed. I do always give people options to unsubscribe from specific promos though. Like I've always done that. It's always been a really helpful mindset thing for me to know that people can opt out of a certain launch, or, if I'm promoting a certain event like my summit or whatever. So I did do that. I was also sending, probably not everyone on my list was getting an email every single day because some of them were different segments, but most of the time I don't segment my audience that much. So just a little bit of extra context there. But yeah, didn't notice a jump in unsubscribes. I when I look back at that period, 100%, I made more sales. I had a brilliant Q4 in what was quite a rocky year for me in other ways, although some of that was for personal reasons. But yeah, ended the year really strong. And I think that knowing I could send, like when I say knowing I could, it was like I had to give myself permission, knowing that I had all that space available in the week, like to share my offers meant that I actually shared a lot of different offers. So I wasn't doing like one big launch. I was just sharing like this thing for a few days, or a flash sale on this thing for a few days, or, you know, a workshop that I was running that then led to a sale, you know. Definitely made more sales, 100%. And I also became better at writing emails, which was a really surprising benefit. And that's something that I am benefiting from now as well.
So I know you said you're kind of doing you did it last year every day, and you said this year you're not doing it every day. Is there a reason you decided to switch that up, or are you just considering this like another experiment, just kind of see how it goes and what happens, or what was kind of the purpose around that?
I 100% would do it again. Like, there's no reason why I'm not, apart from the fact that I didn't feel like fully making that commitment in terms of being
Just
organized.
time.
Not that I want to. I have to say this, actually. I wasn't super organized last year. It actually forced me to put in place a few evergreen sequences that I'd wanted to do for a while and stuff like that. So I wasn't actually super organized last year, but I think that combination of quitting the social media and giving myself something else in its place was really important for me mindset wise. This year I 100% would do it again. It's just my own like capacity. But when I am planning my emails this year, and I'm planning different promos, and I'm definitely doing different things than I was last year, but I'm doing it in a similar way in that I'm selling multiple things in this period. Every time I go through my like document where I'm kind of drafting out like what do I want to send each day, and every time a question pops in my head where I'm like, oh, is that too many days of emails in a row? I'm remembering last year and like, no, it is absolutely not too many emails in a row. I could email every single day, and I actually would email every single day. So it's a good reminder. It's interesting to see how that thought does creep in though, even though I did it last year. So that would have been a benefit of me deciding to do it this year. But I had a coaching call with my own coach, and she was like, and we were talking about some of the things I did last year that worked. And she was like, are you going to do it again? And I was like, oh, I need to make a proper decision about it. And in the end, I decided I couldn't fully commit. So I decided I'm going to send more emails, but I'm not going to fully commit to daily. But that's the only reason.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's a lot. Not even just to take the time to put everything in and schedule it, but just trying to come up with good content every day that's unique and not repetitive and, wants to keep people excited. And I'm trying to remember this from last year, but I can't. Did you announce before you did it? Like, did you give people a heads up, like, hey, by the way, I'm going to email you every day for a month, FYI?
No, I did not. I mean, one of those, firstly, I tend to just come up with ideas and act on them and, don't necessarily plan it out enough to do that. But one of the reasons is a lot of people weren't getting the daily emails. So, for example, people who are already in the things I was launching, they weren't going to get the emails. My members wouldn't have got all the emails. But I don't think that we need to announce it. I do think, strategically speaking, there is something to be said for building up slowly. So if you are someone who emails once a month and then you want to go and do a challenge where you challenge yourself to email every single day, it's probably not a good idea to go from once a month to every single day. It's probably not a good idea for deliverability. So probably you would want a runway of like a month to like go to once a week, and then a couple of times a week, and then do your one day every day for a month. But I tend to email. I don't have a fixed email schedule. I probably email at least 3 times a week anyway. So I didn't feel I needed to announce it. I didn't feel like I needed to work up to it gradually. But like I said, I do create those opt-out links for specific promos. I also make sure there's a balance of most of my emails are not pure sales emails, but most of my emails do sell, if that makes sense. So they will have an offer in there, they'll have a call to action in there, but they will be useful in and of themselves, or inspirational, or something along those lines as well.
Did you put together any data? So, like, I'm really into like data things, and I know I asked you about unsubscribes, but did you put together any kind of data in terms of like, did you always email at the same time, or did you try different times just to see how that went, or did you check against, open rates versus the content or subject lines or anything like that?
So I am really bad. I have to just say I'm really bad at tracking stuff in such a specific way. But I did notice a couple of things. So one, when I am more ahead of myself in terms of emails, I will. I send my emails usually within a window of a few hours, just because it's kind of what suits me in my time zone, but will also work for certain other time zones. So I didn't really switch that up too much. But when I schedule in more in advance, I will do what do you call it, A/B testing with subject
Mhm.
lines, and get a feel for, like, often asking a question, having a very short subject line works well for me. But what I really noticed in terms of what works for my emails is the emails that get clicked the most. Because I was sending emails every day, I am a really like long-winded, wordy person. Like, I always want to add all the nuance and all the
Yeah,
caveats. And all, yeah, I know
yeah.
that I think that you
I,
mentioned this when we
yes,
spoke about
I'm the
it.
same way.
Yeah.
AI helps me a lot with that.
Yeah, exactly. So this experiment was so good for helping me to hone my writing skill. I mean, it's kind of ironic because I started my first business as a copywriter, but it doesn't mean that I am not long-winded. Anyway, I noticed a trend very quickly that keeping emails very short, especially when I'm promoting something like an event that I'm part of, like a collaboration, a free workshop that I'm running, or maybe even like the first launch email when I'm launching something new, just keeping it very short, having a couple of short paragraphs and a really obvious call to action link on its own line, and that's it, works very well. And because I was sending emails every day, that worked well for me as well. Actually, I say it worked well to keep them short. It was actually taking me longer to keep them short at first because of my
Yeah.
tendency to be long-winded. But I was using AI. I trained AI on my email style. I would plug my really long-winded emails into the AI and say, how can I say this more succinctly? And just, I find it so much easier to write these short to the point emails now as a result of doing that experiment. And I always say this, and I always caveat it by saying not all emails, but sometimes I can write an email, send it off in 10 minutes because I've really, really honed my skill. And I've been emailing for years and years and years, but this daily email experiment for sure took it up a huge notch for me.
No, I think that's really interesting, and it is nice to kind of train yourself and kind of have gained that skill from that, I think. I know I myself would be really curious if you do ever get bored and want to sell it as like an experiment. I love when people sell like their experiments and the information behind them. Like, I know Ruth Poundwhite had done like a year-long 100K experiment, and I followed that because I just find it very interesting.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah,
ever get bored and want to compile all the data, I would love to see it.
that's a good idea actually.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I think it would be really cool. Um, do you do you think you'll have a plan of doing this every year or using it as an opportunity to like boost Q4 type things, maybe like make it a tradition and just kind of see how that goes? Or do you have any plans of maybe how you could still use that same idea, but maybe for something else, maybe not for selling and just building engagement, or ever have any thoughts around any of those things?
In general, I love setting myself a challenge. So my next challenge is going to not be email related, but actually I'm building a new free community. So I will definitely set myself a challenge to show up daily there. And I may document it behind the scenes as well and let people in on that. That's coming up very soon. I think that there's something so powerful about setting yourself a challenge, because especially when you're not used to doing something, you make this decision, you don't wait, well, you might waver on it a bit, but you know you've decided, so you're not going to be like back and forth, should I, shouldn't I, because you've already decided. You're not going to be like looking at it going, oh, no one's opening, shall I cancel my experiment? No, I've decided to do it for a month. So yeah, I'll probably do it with a free community. Email wise, you know what, I want to be doing this all the time, basically. That's how powerful it was for me. I wouldn't say daily, all the time, just because of the commitment involved, but frequently, yes. And I think it might be a good thing for me to try at a different time of the year. It just so happens I've tried it Q4, but actually any time of the year. So I'm going away and I'm coming back mid-January, probably going to need a little bit of time to get my energy back after the time jet lag and all that. But then after that probably would be a great time to experiment with something like that. If I had the capacity to make sure I had emails planned in advance, evergreen sequences set up so that they take some of the daily slots, I would 100% be trying it again and doing it in advance of something like my next summit coming up or something like that, to really ramp up the excitement around it coming, and engagement with my emails. And actually now, as we're speaking, we're like, just around a month out from Black Friday. I'm really mindful of doing things to help engagement with my email list. So it's not just about sending more regularly, but it's also about encouraging people to respond, which is a whole other conversation. But setting yourself a challenge to help with something like that for your deliverability would also probably be a really good idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. I spent earlier this month kind of trying to do that to kind of help boost some of my deliverability and open rates. I also started using List Gadget. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It was created by Liz Wilcox, who runs the email marketing membership. And you basically just embed it in your email, and you can do like polls, and you can also just add like a top engaged, I guess you would just call them readers or whatever of your emails. So I found that really interesting because I use the emails as kind of a way to nurture and kind of re-engage my list a bit. But then I also use it as a way to kind of collect data for some stuff that I'm hoping to do in the future. And I just wanted to kind of get an idea of my audience and things like that. So it was really interesting.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I really enjoyed using it, and I've kept it for now, just to kind of see how it goes. But it's nice because people just click on it, and it sometimes people don't always want to respond and put specific words, so it just kind of gives them an easy way to do that. But
yeah, that's a really good point, because I definitely have a lot of quieter, introverted people in my audience, and sometimes I totally understand why they don't necessarily want to hit reply on an email, because I wouldn't necessarily do that either. But yeah, giving them an easy way, I think is a really smart idea.
Yeah, I really like that. Well, I have loved hearing all about your experiment, and I hope that you continue to share more about it in your email or however you want to, because I'm definitely very curious, and I'll be very curious how it goes with building your community as well. I actually did a podcast interview right before this where we talked about customer experience and building up engagement and communities and stuff, and I'm just not very good at it. I have tried to start multiple communities on multiple platforms, and right now I'm on Slack, and it's still just not, I'm just not good at it. So I'll be very curious to see how it goes for you and how you're able to do that.
I mean, I will say it's never been my main thing. Email for sure has always been my main thing. And if anything, like starting that experiment is what allowed me to get off Instagram and prove to myself that actually I don't need social media. I am starting a new community on School, but I don't believe I need it. I do believe it will add something very valuable to my business, but I do believe that you can run your business mainly by email as a hub. I do think it's helpful to give someone like podcast, let them hear your voice or see your face or whatever, however you choose. But we're all different, aren't we? Like,
yeah,
some people are brilliant at communities or going live or whatever. And going live for me, I just don't have the energy to do it very often. But email, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely more email as well. I hate social. I hardly ever post. I'll post some stuff on Facebook, but it's not very strategic. It's usually just thoughts that I'm having around things. But yeah, email has always been kind of best for me as well. And Kate Kordsmere just did a webinar on Monday about how she got off social and how she was still able to have, I think, over 500 days of sales
Yeah.
without any social media. So I'm always very interested in all of that because I don't want to be on social media. If I was like multi 7-figure business, which I'm not, unfortunately, at that point yet, I would just pay someone to do it
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I feel you.
but unfortunately, I'm not at that point yet. But yeah, no, that's why I was just very interested in your experiment because I definitely feel most aligned with email as well.
Yeah, and I hope that some people listening might be encouraged to try it. And if it's
Yeah,
a bit scary, like that's kind of why it's a good thing to try. Like I said, if you have only been sending one email a month, don't just suddenly send one a day.
yeah,
But I do think there's something to be said for stretching yourself and then it becomes normal. Like if you are someone sending an email a month and then it feels hard to sell your stuff, ramping it up a bit then normalizes you sending emails and allows you to actually share what you do with your people and reframing it. You're not just selling at them, you're helping them. You're sharing something that can
yes,
help them. And that really
yes.
is important.
Yeah, no, it's definitely inspired me because I had some ideas for November around like Black Friday and things like that, but now it's giving me some additional ideas of how I could do that and if what it would look like if I emailed every day. So I think I might think about doing it. I might take off the weekends, but Monday through Friday.
Yes. I think you're totally allowed. I think actually that was one of the rules that you just reminded me of. I had one day a week where I didn't include that in my daily. I think it was Saturdays. So I actually technically wasn't doing daily emails, but that was my deliberate decision I
Yeah,
made. No Saturdays. Yeah.
right. Yeah. Well, it gives them a break too, not just you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I know you said that you also have a freebie that you'd like to share with the audience. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So my freebie is a workbook and actually something I mentioned just at the end, which was like, your offer is valuable. You're not just pushing it on people. This is what this workbook will help you with, believing in the transformation of your offer so that you actually feel more confident about selling it, that it's not just going to annoy people, but it is actually valuable. So it's a free workbook to help you get behind the value of your offer. You can get that at ruthpoundwhite.com/free/selling.
Yes, I highly recommend everyone check it out. Like I said, I've followed Ruth for a long time. I think I own like half of the things that you've offered at some point, so I'm a big fan. But thanks again for joining us. I really loved having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.